Hey everyone.
Hey everyone. So welcome back to the World Society podcast.
Episode 7, right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, I keep forgetting which episode it is.
Mm. Um, yeah, I think it's 7. Um, good. So yeah, today I think keeping in line with the stories that we want to save, or like the story bank that we're trying to keep, we thought of maybe putting together some stories and some memories of some people who aren't um, with us and who I think may have played a very important part in bringing us up, or like the early parts of our childhood, and that's our grandparents.
Hmm.
And
That's fitting. That's fitting because I just told you just maybe 5 minutes ago before we started recording that someone who was a sort of a grandmother figure passed away yesterday, and I just found out maybe 1 hour ago. So it's kind of fitting that we're talking about it as well.
yeah, um, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. But yeah,
Thanks, dude. But
yeah,
yeah,
I'm good. I'm good.
it's good, right? Like the whole point is to
Yeah,
not forget and let the stories live on. So
Yeah. I'm interested to see, to hear what the story, because I haven't even heard about her, and I haven't told you much about my grandparents, or to be honest, I don't think I've ever told a lot of people about the stuff they've been through, and um, I feel like the people they know, or like who could have carried on their stories, also, um, a majority of them are also no longer with us, so it'd be important to like put those stories into some
is
sort of.
that a common thing though? I feel like most kids don't talk about their grandparents or the time they do when you're really close, you might say,
Yeah,
but it's not it never comes up. It's not anyone's fault. It just dies
yeah,
slowly.
yeah.
People don't realize and people just don't talk about it as much.
I think it's also because sometimes they pass away during our childhood, and that's a thing, right? Like, uh, most of the memories I have of my grandfather and my grandparents, in like of uh, of like all of them, all four of them, are of like a very younger age, and because, well, my grand so let's stick to one grandfather, and then the one, that particular one I'm talking about today. um so he passed away when I was around 10, and it's crazy because I've now lived most of my life not knowing him. Um and yeah, so like I feel like that's interesting how, even though I've spent most of my life not knowing him, it's weird how I still have a strong connection. The memories I have are still pretty vivid. I can still like remember what he sounded like, what he looked like. Um, yeah, his different looks. It's quite interesting.
That makes sense though. Like I know for you when you said it, you're like, oh, okay, I haven't known him most of my life
Mm,
now, but the memories are still strong.
yeah,
But that makes sense because if you think about it, like you know how time speeds up as you age, just because it's a smaller portion
yeah,
of your age, right? So those 10 years are like a big huge point. It's not half of your life. It's way more than that. A lot happened during those 10 years. It's not linear, right? The how we sort of experience time, especially in relation to age. I think we definitely experience more time when we're younger. Um, so I don't know. For me, it kind of makes sense that those memories are clearer and stronger.
mm, yeah, yeah. Um, Stephen Hawkins over here, giving a bit of an explanation. Um, but yeah, I guess that does make sense. And yeah, so like to probably the one of the best memories I've had with my grandfather is, it's just a weird one, I guess, like just making a bed together, because my grandfather was kind of this um, all jack of trades kind of guy, who used to just do random stuff around the house, like gardening, just making random things, a bit of carpentry. So like, I think he took it on himself to took it upon himself to just make a bed out of like a big king size bed, for my parents, and so he got the timber from my dad, and then just started getting on it, and then he got me to help out. I was like, yeah, so I was like 10, like closing in on 10 around this time, and yeah, it just took a lot of effort, just cut up the pieces, lined it up really well with the chisel tool, like make those designs. And then I think I had this idea of adding a light bulb onto the headboard. So like we made this like hole in the middle, yeah, on the top design, on the headboard design, and then there's like a thing on the top where you can attach a light bulb into. I never attached a light bulb.
So
Eventually
it's a
after
massive hole.
there's
Massive
like a
hole in
big
the
there's
bed
like a
now.
big hole in the middle, and yeah, it's just attached like a socket.
That's a
Um,
bit odd, eh?
it
Why is
is a
there a
bit
hole
odd,
in there?
and I had to go like tell this whole
Perfectly
story
circular hole.
on like the top of the headboard with like a weird arch going up. But yeah, and then it's interesting because like we spent like so long on just making that, just the two of us, and obviously like, he did a brunt of the work because I was like 9 or 10, and then like he did like most of the heavy work and like the actual like cutting off it. I just like either held something or like held something together, or like it just was a nuisance around the place. Um, but yeah, we finished it. Put some coating on it, and it's still there in my parents' bedroom. And it's crazy how long it's lasted. And of course, like the following year, like that was around 2008, 2007, I think, 2006, 7. So like the following year, he passed away. He got sick, and yeah, and it was quite sudden as well. I think he had a heart attack. And yeah, and that was like one of the like few like huge things I've done, and that's one of my strongest memories with him.
Mm.
Yeah, and he was also like, I think he had a very interesting past as well. Like, so apparently he used to just go around uh venturing the country. I think he went to India, and I think he killed a tiger. It used to be like an old tiger skin in the house, and like I'm not sure what the whole story with that is.
That's crazy.
I didn't want to find out in case he turned out to be like a poacher. I don't think he was. I think it was more out of self defense or something. And then what's funny is like there's a very old rusted sword under his bed, and I just found it out like randomly, and I'm like, what is this? Um,
There's
so like,
so much backstory.
yeah, like there's so much stuff that I don't know, and like I knew him for like a very short period of his life as well, right? So like I knew him towards the last 10 years of his life, even though it was the first 10 years of my life, and there's so much stuff that he, um, yeah, and then those past 70 to 75 years that he lived, I think there's so much stuff that we don't know about, and I remember when he passed away that my parents and my grandmother put together this compilation of like how he looked over the years, and it was so interesting because I'd never seen too many photos of him, and this was like the first time, and they're all fresh in my head now, and like he was such an interesting person, I think, and I didn't like, I think it's a shame that I didn't get to spend more time with him. Um, he was very strict as well. He was. I remember him chasing me around the house sometimes, whenever I did something wrong.
So
Very
like
strict.
most of the time.
Yeah, cause I spent a lot of time just at home. Didn't have a lot of friends, Uh, so I
Yeah,
used to
true.
be a
Still
bit of.
don't, right?
Still don't. The one friend I have,
Who's that?
uh, you wouldn't know him. Um,
Yeah, fair.
bit of a dickhead.
Yeah,
Um,
go on.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, and we used to fight for the TV. That happened a lot, I think, because he used to watch a lot of sports, and I think that's kind of translated into me because now I watch like every sport possible, like just tennis, NFL, football. Everyone knows I watch a lot of football.
You love athletics as well, don't you? The 100 meters,
100
especially.
meters, yeah, watching
Yeah.
people try to. I don't want to say it. Try to run a marathon.
Yeah.
um. Oh, so is that a sub?
It's a little sniffle.
Yeah, well, he watched a lot of sport, and like it always clashed with the time. Like we watched a lot of cartoons, like the two of us, me and you. So
Mm-mm.
like it always clashed with that time. So like it was always a bother. We used to like always like he used to switch the channel. I was like, hey, I'm watching that, and then sometimes he's watching it, and I'm just like on in the corner. I'm like asking like, can we like switch it to this channel? Because this thing is
Mm.
on. He's like, no, I need to watch this tennis. But eventually, like we started watching like cricket together because it was the World Cup year was coming, and sadly he passed away before the World Cup started. This is like in 2007. So before that, there was like we got into a lot of cricket. We started watching Test cricket for some reason, and it was interesting because he used to love Test cricket. He's loved tennis and just the Olympics whenever it came on every 4 years back in the day. So like a lot of those memories are still quite vivid. He used to keep like two legs on a different chair. Uh, so I just used to sit on the floor sometimes. And yeah, it's such an interesting life that I wish I knew a lot more about. So, I'm like sad to say like this is like the first time in years that I've actually started to think about that because and sometimes I'm wondering like what I wonder what kind of a person I would be if he was still alive towards a better end of like um my early childhood. What he would have been like if I was a teenager, like what he would have taught me um during that time. So yeah, just
Mm.
remembering him. Good
Mm.
times.
That's cool. That's super interesting. He seems like a super interesting guy. And this is the thing though, like I don't know why, but I most of my life I've been sort of I guess mentored by sort of these really old male figures. Um, and I have had a lot of them even recently as well. Just I don't know why I connect with them maybe and been talking with them. But you realize that when you're at that age, you're bound to be interesting, right? Like you had, I don't know, 70 odd years of human experience, right? All the, let's say, mundane stories you think of now are going to be funny, right? Like um or funny or interesting, like, and sometimes I think, oh, like these guys had such interesting lives and I feel bad about mine, or just think about it, right? Like reflect on it. But I'm 23. Like it's at that point, anything you say is going to be interesting. Like you've done so many things. The time, the sort of the era you lived in is different, and like in, let's say, 50 years, what we have now is probably not going to exist, right? Like so everything's going to be so cool and different. So I don't know. But yeah, it's my like fathers have been, so one of them died. I died when I was really young. I still had like very faint memory of the funeral, but then the other grandfather was like really old, even when I was young. So we didn't do all this, like things like you did, making beds and stuff. I think he was a bit too weak for that. But I still have vivid memories of him. But I remember, I think we could touch on it later on, maybe in a different episode. He was a super interesting character, has lots of cool stories. But I just when he said the story about the bed, I just remember this old guy. down like just down the road. Basically a neighbor, but he was really old, but he had this like full tool shed and this carpentry shed, and like so I was learning English at the time. So he was like full. He was a burger, right. So he was a Dutch descendant. So he would teach me English, and he would teach me what's the writing when it's like all connected up, like flow writing or whatever.
Like
So he used to like
cursive.
I don't know what it's called, but he used to like teach me. I don't even know what it's called, but I can kind of do it still. Um, but then we would build stuff or like be in his shed all day. You know, obviously like these days maybe in Australia it's like safety hazards or whatever. Like I'm just playing with all these rusted nails and like making stuff. It's pretty cool. He had this really old school bike, like a Harley kind of looking bike, but I don't think they make it anymore. It's called a Java, and just ride around with him, trying to find timber or whatever. I'm like 5 or 6, I can't remember. Probably maybe a
That's
bit older, maybe like 8, 9, and he passed away a few years ago as well, actually. But it's cool. I think when you're at that age, I think you are trying to sort of leave some of your experiences and teach the younger generation something. Right? You want to leave a part of you behind because it's not. No one's pretending that they're not gonna die. Everyone knows we're all gonna die. So I think they want to kind of do their part towards the end, and I think that's where both of us have been sort of I know been benefited from.
Yeah, that's like such a nice, vivid description. Like like you in a Harley with the guys, just like riding
Yeah, no
around.
helmet, just riding
No
around.
hell,
Yeah,
it's just like yeah, yeah. I think
that guy was super hardcore as well. Like I
yeah.
remember once he had like some low blood sugar or something, and he fell off the thing. I wasn't
Jesus.
there, but then he just like laid down for a bit, got back up, like rode it home. And I remember like I
Um,
think he split his like his skin or like a knee or something, and he
Jesus.
used like a needle and just a piece of string he had and like stitched it himself.
Yeah.
And I was like so metal. But I feel like everyone
That's
back
hard.
in the day is so
That generation.
hardcore.
So like my grandfather, like we used to live next to the paddy field, right? So like we used to get a lot of snakes,
Mm.
um, in around the house, inside the house as well sometimes. And I remember like sometimes he's just gone like put his hand maybe like through some timber and like he's taken it out. And it's just all like all tooth marks, teeth marks of a snake bite, and it's just flowing blood. But he picks up the snake and he just yeets it in back into the paddy field. I'm like, wow, I could never
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, same.
Uh,
Literally, this guy was those water monitors, those massive
yeah,
lizards.
exactly.
They're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they would just kind of like pick them up, chuck them like
Jesus
out. I would be
Christ.
like, I was because I'm so scared of all animals. You know this. Like I'm scared of dogs and stuff. I used to be at least. Um, and this guy and like so Chad. That generation is so good. Even like recently when I went to that meditation retreat. Because it was all like mainly girls and it was just me and this really old guy, and he was kind of teaching me how to do plumbing and stuff like that. So I learned a lot of plumbing with him. Um, and even that guy just so like I'm obviously young, like I have more, let's say more strength, endurance, whatever, right? But I'm struggling to like dig these trenches and fix these pipes up. Like this guy comes in, he's like twice, 3 times older than me, and he's like just yeah, easily fixing all of them.
Yeah.
Like just
It's not,
chat.
yeah, it's like that generation, right? Like it's not even like the dudes like my grandmother from the other side of the family, so my dad's mother. She used to be like so active until like almost until like the day she passed away. Like I again like her passing away was like such a shock. So that like she used to like do gardening around the house, like all the housework, and like she took care of my other grandfather as well. For like most of the time I knew them, and she was like such a like a very powerful character as well. And like I think yeah that generation just was hardened by a lot of things, and you know
But
like
I think
they
it's like but this is the thing that like if you look at the generation before them, they were probably harder. I don't know, like in terms
yeah
of I don't know how you define what hard is, but if you look at like maybe like 10,000 years ago, they were like hunting animals and killing, and that's so like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah, yeah,
probably, and the generation after us is probably going to be quote unquote like softer than us in whatever ways, but
yeah,
that's just because I guess living conditions get
yeah.
better, but
Like we're
gets
going
better as
around
well.
throwing words around like harder and softer, but like really just like the sign of the times, I guess, and like how you adapt to like strive and like survive, I guess.
Mm.
So like
But I
that's
guess
just
so
how
much
it is. Yeah,
inspiration
yeah, no,
from that
definitely,
generation. Like,
definitely, yeah.
they're just so Chad.
Most of the fact is that you just knew them and like associate yourself with them and
Mm.
learned a lot. So like in a way, we're quite lucky in that aspect. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And I really want to spend time with old people, and I think, um, like I know, like let's say people our age, let's say it's people comparing people with this in the same age group. I know there's people with different mental aptitudes and different experiences and stuff, right? And the thing is, when you're that age, you could be, let's say, let's say objectively you have a low IQ or something like that, right? But then when you're at that age, you have so much experience. Just you are better, like they are better than us, in terms of navigating through life, and there's always something to learn, always something to learn, and that's kind of why I was so interested in like the hospice scenario as well, right? But I ended up in a children's hospice, but that was what got me into the whole thing, right? Just spending time with old people, it's definitely just the best way to learn about life, I think.
yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's such a, a blessing, I guess. An underrated blessing where like we there's so much like undocumented stuff that we can learn just by word of mouth, and we can absorb so much as well through that. And yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
I think just to sort of wrap this up as well, because we can go
yeah,
on for ages about this, but I think
yeah,
it's the stories, like we want to keep the stories alive.
yeah. And we didn't really talk about your parental figure who passed away. So if you want to give us a small update or like a small backstory, I guess.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I was it's just a house I lived in when I was really young. So it was just of my family and this other family and it's just their grandparents. But obviously, it was just that grandparents were kind of, there was sort of that great grandparent figures for me at that moment. It was a very short time, but it's sad for me for a different reason. I think because it wasn't like a fluent sort of scenario at all. And it's interesting how there was another. This is a girl who's like my age, maybe like a bit younger than me, but so we both came up, like we were brought up at the same time at the same place. We kind of had the same roots, for like a better word, but we're in two different places at the moment, um, and that's what saddens me a lot. Not sad. I don't think it saddens me. I don't know. It's interesting, right? It's just how different environments, and because she was in that environment, she's still in that environment. I kind of got out early, thanks to my parents, and I was sort of put into more. I don't know. I was just more lucky, I think, in that sense, and just I find it hard to get over the fact that most of my life is just based on luck, just good luck, and the other person basically had the same roots as me, and then just wasn't. She's not here where I am, right? Which is just, I don't know, just I guess we'll save that for another episode. I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
but like yeah, it's easy to forget that this is not the end, I guess. So anything can
Yes.
happen. I think
Yes.
just
And I'm comparing from a point of privilege, but if
yeah,
someone compares my life from a point of even greater privilege, then you know what I mean. Like
yeah. Well, we
it's
can do that
yeah,
forever, I guess.
yeah.
Like
So it's
where's the end of that?
yeah. I'm just yeah, just one of
Yeah,
my little moods today. But I
yeah.
think just bring it back to the stories. I think it's a good. I was reading this book, and it had a really nice quote. I think it just sums up what we're trying to do, right? In this podcast in general. So it goes like this. There are three deaths. The first is when the body ceases to function. The second is when the body is consigned to the grave. The third is that moment, sometime in the future, when your name is spoken for the last time.
Okay, that's it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I think it's a very popular quote.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. Like we're trying to keep these names alive, keep these stories alive. Put it out on the net. Just I know it's not gonna be forever. Nothing's gonna be forever, but it'll be good
Yeah.
to talk about this stuff
Yeah.
and just yeah.
It's like you truly die, I think, when your legacy finishes. I think that's why it's important to keep those stories going, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, me being me, I want to say that it's not existing or not dying is not a negative thing either. So
No,
we'll,
no, of course.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But like that's
yeah.
just the
But
the point, I guess. Just to keep those memories alive, I guess. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Also, like I think my grandparents, I guess, come in a combined way had a lot of impact on like how I view art and
Mm,
well, yeah, like how like what types of art forms I digest. And I remember my other grandfather had a whole collection of Reader's Digest magazines that he used to collect since like the
I remember this. I don't know how I remember this.
1970s. And I only found this out on the day of his funeral. I found this whole deck or like huge collection that he like subscribed to, and like he had got through post over time, and it's like in mint condition. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like how much meticulous effort you've gone to like keep these up. And also like this collection of great books and music. He had a record player that I found. And then even my grandfather who I was talking about before, in terms of like the stuff he watched, like the movies he watched, and of course like I guess sports as well, like in terms of media, those had like a weirdly profound effect on like what I consume now. And
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, especially films. You do consume a lot of films, don't
I
you?
mean, not as much as compared to you, I think. Um, it's probably something we have in common, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm the more pretentious type, I know. The little,
Oh, it's
yeah,
let's see.
foreign film buff.
Yeah. Um.
But
Well, like, yeah, and Andrew Garfield is trending a lot. Good man, I think. Um.
I'm not into I don't
Yeah.
follow the
Yeah. Well,
news. I
it's like
don't.
the Andrew Garfield Renaissance.
He's always been like, why was he never like, was he not famous or something? Like
No,
he
no. I
was,
think
right?
I think it's just a lot of hype happened. He released like 4 movies this year of like him starring in it. So like,
Oh, really?
a lot of I guess a lot of younger audiences are also discovering him, and I
Yeah,
think
because we're really old now.
yeah, we're really old now. But like I think it started for us with like the first thing we might have seen him in was probably Never Let Me Go, or like or
I think Never Let Me Go. Oh boy, yeah.
Boy A, yeah. Um,
Hmm.
but
Boy is in my top five English
it's a
movies
good
of all
movie.
time.
Um,
Oh, I've cried so many times.
but yeah, like hopefully everyone who's talking about Andrew Garfield and like is consuming all this attention and like going through all his filmography, um, hopefully they watch either Boy A or I think more importantly Never Let Me Go, which is
Boye is way more powerful. I know both stories are good.
yeah.
But Boye is based off a true story, so
Yeah,
I'm more
yeah,
sort of
no,
attracted to
yeah,
that one.
I know. Um,
Performance is really good in both, but I
yeah,
think Boye he had to do that really hard accent as well. I think like a Welsh accent
hmm.
through the whole thing as well. That one is so powerful. But I've cried to both, and we watched it
We watched it
together. Like
recently.
Never Let
We
Me Go,
watched, yeah, we like rewatched it, I guess. I'm not sure
like
how.
3 weeks ago,
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
came out.
because yeah, and then we
Yeah.
were like, let's watch Never Let Me Go again. Because it was on like a streaming platform that was just very easy to watch. Yeah, and we just watched it again, and it's his performance is quite good, and Don't want to spoil anything,
Even
obviously.
even Carrie Mulligan's
Carey
good. Everyone's
Mulligan,
good. That one. Keira Knightley.
yeah,
Yeah.
just wonderful performance, and like
Quality. We should make this a little. Should we make this a little segment, like a little movie review at the end of every episode?
Sure.
If it's a bit too
even
heavy,
like Never Let Me Go is also a book, right? So like it's based on the book,
mm,
and it's a very nice read as well. But yeah, such a moving movie, I guess. Emotionally heavy, so
yeah,
I
fair.
guess like quite interesting. In terms of how like relationships and everything, like how we look at life, is summed up, I guess.
It's an interesting one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like this. I like talking about movies because
Yeah.
obviously I can go on forever, but it's good to kind of talk about it. At the end of talking about something a bit heavy, I think yeah,
It's good
that's
stuff.
cool. Any are you focusing on? Are you like planning to watch any other movies this week?
No, well, I haven't really thought about it. It's been a bit of a busy week. Busy
Mm,
few weeks actually. But no, I'm just rewatching Normal People again. I think it's just a very it's a bit of a turned into a bit of a comfort show, even though it's not really. It's very like it's quite depressing, I would say, at times. So like I don't know why it's more of a comfort show, but this is like the second time I'm watching it again, and the show is so to me at least it's quite therapeutic, and it's just shot very well. It's based on this book by Sally Rooney. The story is interesting, of course, but it's just as it is, like it's about people, two individuals just trying to become, just define their relationship and become, I guess, normal people, and it's quite nice.
Oh
It's
wait, oh no, sorry, I was kind of got that mixed up with Atypical.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
I haven't watched that
no,
either, but
yeah, I,
I just been watching children's shows actually. I just been watching Crash Zone. Remember
Crash
that, the
Zone,
computer one?
yeah, yeah,
Just finished Mortified. Just all these kids ones, very 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 wholesome, and it's
yeah.
very kind of cute to watch. I don't know why I watch them. It's so easy for me to watch them and really enjoy them.
It's
Because the rest of the stuff I like consume, I guess, is like war crimes and like all this stuff that I will listen to and try to learn about. Kind of, I need the outlet of wholesome fun, I think.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Would we watch Avatar again? Like I probably do that every
That'd be
year.
cool, yeah.
I just think like
It's
when
important.
I like I know I was talking about the comfort show of Normal People, but when I have to define the comfort show, like the show I could like fall back on if I need to just watch it again and like feel like
Mm,
myself and like feel good about myself, I think just watch Avatar again, the Last
mm.
Airbender.
That's fair. That's a good show. Um,
Yeah.
we should probably wrap up
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
we're just going
go
on.
on
We're just
ranting
going
forever.
on. But I guess that's
We'll,
a bit
we'll
of a.
continue after we stop recording.
I guess it's a bit of a teaser to like if we can do like a small review, I guess, of something, some art form that we.
We'll have a little segment. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be cool.
yeah. It'll be interesting.
I think especially just for us too as well. Just to
Yeah,
talk
it's
about
good to
movies.
like. Obviously, it just adds a bit more into that conversation, like sort of reflections that we go through during this conversation, I guess, and it's pretty good.
Maybe we'll try to like find. No, we'll try to like find like think of a movie, watch that kind of like
Relates to
matches
it.
the
Yeah.
theme of the podcast, like that episode.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, yeah.
That's definitely.
I'm sure I got so many movies like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Watch Never Let Me Go. It's streaming on Disney Plus. Yeah, let's go. Free marketing
was that
for
Disney
the
Plus? Really?
Overlords.
We're getting paid,
Let's
surely, by
go.
Disney.
All right,
Getting
let's
paid.
Wrap up. All right.
That's it.
Cool.
I don't think anyone's listening at this point. But,
You say that every show. All right.
dude, I mean, like, who's gonna listen to us talk about Disney Plus?
Disney Plus.